rate of change from a graph. All right, so here's what you're going to see in your book. Find the average rate of change of the function g of t on the interval 0 to 3. All right, so that's what the book is going to say. And so what does that mean? Yes, sir.
Where where the line falls on x0 and 3.
Yeah, so it's not the graph, we should probably say. Okay, so we're going to draw a line using the endpoints of the interval. So exactly what Alex said. When x, or in this case t, when t is 0, that is right, this point right here. Yes, the output is 1, okay? And then when t is 3, the output is 4. So then take that and let's draw a line. Yep. All right. So the line connecting those two.
Would it just be 1?
What are we calculating? We calculate the, okay, or we're calculating the slope of this line. But yeah, it's the delta y over delta x, the rate of change, the average rate of change. Why did you say it was 1? What was the math behind that?
Well, because for rise of 1, x2 minus x1 is 3.
Okay.
And then it had a change.
So you did 3 minus 0, which is 3, and then?
I did 4 minus, wait.
Yeah, 4.
4 minus
4 is that second y value, right? This is 0.2, okay? So f at 3 is 4. F at 3 is 4, and f at 0 is what? 1. So you did?
4 minus 1. And that just means that it's 1.
All right? So the average rate of change is for every 1 x unit, it grows, sorry, for every 1 t unit, for every unit on t, no idea. Under your chair?
Yes.
Okay. For every t units, sorry, for every, yeah, t units, should go on the bottom. For every t units, the y unit grows by 1. So as you change the units of t, so if this were time, for every change in time, the average change from here on this interval right here is 1. Okay, that's the average rate of change. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes. And then on graph 2, would it be a rate of positive 1 or negative 1?
So let's figure out. So first, what do we do first?
Find
The endpoints, yeah. So the endpoint, the first x value is -3, so take -3 up. Okay? So that means f at -3 equals 5. Good. And then -1 is 3. So f at -1 is 3. Right? Delta y over delta x. So what is the change in y value? 2. Okay. Positive 2 or negative 2? You want to do positive 2? Okay, so you're doing 5 minus 3. That's fine. But then do this order as well then. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If the 5 is first, then what x value has to come first? No, negative 3, the corresponding x value. And then minus a minus 1. Excellent. So either 5 minus 3 over negative 3 minus negative 1, or 3 minus 5 over negative 1 minus a negative 3. Either way, you'll get the same answer. Just you have to be consistent. Does that make sense?
Yes.
This should be an ordered pair, and this should be an ordered pair. Okay? XY, XY. So 2 over negative 2. Is that what you guys get? Or negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1. Okay? So the average rate of change is negative 1. If there are units, don't forget to write in the units, but we don't have any units. All right, so sort of the same idea. So we're going to go to the average rate of change from a formula. All right, so it's the same concept as from a graph, but this time you have to figure out the blank value. Yep. We have to find out the y value of the endpoints. And this time we can't just look at a graph. What are we going to have to do? Yeah, solve the equality, solve that function. Okay, so sort of what we were doing before. I need to, here's the interval, here's the function. So I have to figure out what y value I get when x is 0. Does that make sense? Okay, so how do I do that? Okay, 3 times 0 squared minus 0 plus 1, Gunjay says is 1. Do you guys all agree? Yep, okay. So what's the function value at 1? Don't square the 3, square the 1. So it's a negative and positive 1, so they become 0. So she's right, it's 3. All right, so delta y over delta x is, what's the change in y? 2. So you did 3 minus 1. 3 minus 1. So then what do we do for the x's? 1 minus 0. 1 minus 0. So the average rate of change is 2. Okay.
But why does it say the interval is at 0, 1?
So that means if I graph this and I connected on the graph, so it would look probably something similar to this. It would be a parabola because it's a square function. Yeah, so the line between 0 and 1 will have a slope of 2. Okay? All right, so for this function, let's do the same thing. Okay, a positive 1/3 is the rate of change. All right? Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so the one thing that's in your homework that I didn't talk about is doing this when you have a table. Okay? But a table gives you an x value and a y value, right? So it's exactly the same thing. So we have 5 minutes of class left, so that's perfect time for me to let you go a little early.